The treasures that come through those doors of the History Channel's wildly successful series Pawn Stars have only grown in value as the show has elevated their shop's notoriety. Currently on its 19th season, which is incredible. The series is filmed in Las Vegas, Nevada, where it chronicles the daily activities at the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop, a 24-hour family business that opened in 1989. The show depicts the staff's interactions with customers who bring in a variety of items to pawn. You gotta get that money, money, money. What's happening? With more and more collectors learning about the dealings of Rick, Richard, Chumlee, and Corey, the show's promise that you never know what will walk through that door has only become more valid as the weeks tick by. W.H. Stratton here for What Happened, and today we're looking at the most expensive items that made it to this Las Vegas institution. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a bargain. But now let's get to the sales, the profit, and find out exactly what happened. JFK Cigar Box. In a 2013 episode, a customer brings a humidor and some unsmoked cigars in for appraisal. As it turned out, not only was the cigar box once owned by President Kennedy, but it spent time with him sitting on the desk of the Oval Office. But Rick is a pro and knew the humidor was something of real value the minute he laid eyes on it. The customer came in asking for 95 grand.
I'll give you 50 grand.
I can't do that.
But after some haggling, because of course, he accepted the shop's $60,000 offer.
60 grand. I'll give you 30 now. Give me the rest of the paperwork. I'll give you the other 30.
Got it, man.
All right.
To actually have a cigar box that sat on his desk in the Oval Office, it's just one of those things I can only dream about, Rick stated in that episode. Further saying, quote, "This is one of those once-in-a-lifetime items. If I let this thing walk out the door, I'm never going to see another one like it." And while $60,000 may seem like an insanely high amount for a personal cigar box, the actual worth of this JFK-owned antique is likely much higher. As the Chicago Tribune reported, another of JFK's humidors was sold at auction for $575,000 back in 1996. So yeah, smoke 'em if you got 'em. 1961 Gibson SG Les Paul guitar. Okay, so any of Gibson's Les Paul signature guitars can cost a pretty penny, but when the well-crafted guitars have a connection to the legendary songwriter whose name is on the instrument, well, they become worth quite a bit more. That explains why the Harrisons felt they should shell out $90,000 for this.
All right, $90,000.
Deal.
A 1961 Les Paul guitar that belonged to Paul's wife, Mary. From 1950 until 54, Mary and Les co-wrote a whopping 16 top 10 hits. Les's solid body guitar design was instrumental in changing the sound of rock music. So, with an already rare guitar, made even more valuable with its actual connection to Les Paul, this would become Rick's largest guitar buy of his career, and he did well to snap it up for $90,000. Now that's much more than what my guitar hero got. 1932 Lincoln Roadster. Ooh, buddy. The Harrisons had to spend big to get this luxury Lincoln Roadster that was built during the middle of the Great Depression. A beautifully maintained mint and cream colored Roadster with a massive V12 engine hiding under its gigantic hood was way too sexy to let it drive away. I mean, this convertible was created with one thing in mind: luxury. With its 150 horsepower V12, it was more powerful than most cars of its era. So when Rick and the old man went to check out the exceptionally maintained 32 Roadster, deep down they knew they had to go big if they wanted to ride off in this vintage beast. And in the end, it was $95K, paid in cash. Cash which the owner then pushed back over the counter to buy $95,000 worth in gold. Because who doesn't love gold?
I love gold.
1941 Gibson SJ200 guitar. Another Gibson walked into that pawn shop once, with a much more widely known star attached. Stephen Stills of Crosby, Stills and Nash, and occasionally Young. Stephen owned this 1941 beauty, which was incredibly well maintained and boasted the lovely sound of mid-century Gibsons. But it was the bill of sale that was signed by Stills himself that made this guitar much more valuable.
I would absolutely love to get my hands on this guitar. It's beautiful, it's rare, and it was owned by a rock and roll legend.
And of course, Rick couldn't help himself, purchasing this guitar for a solid $85,000.
85, man.
All right.
And getting his hand on a piece of classic rock history that was bound to find a deep-pocketed buyer. After all, we've all heard Deja Vu 1,000 times in our lives, and somebody out there must love it enough to drop 6 figures and own a guitar that was so close to the process. 1922 high relief dollar. It's not just cars and guitars that fetch top dollar. Occasionally, the shop will shell out for actual dollars. Such was the case with this rare dollar coin from 1922, and the shop decided to pay $80,000 to own it.
It's a deal.
All right, okay.
It's known in collector circles as one of the rarest American coins ever made.
This coin is particularly interesting, historical, and it's rare as hen's teeth.
And its owner lucked into it with a poker game win. And while he knew he had an expensive coin in his pockets, he had no idea how much it really was worth. The gentleman believed the coin, one of only 10 to 12 left in existence, was worth around $20,000. But after Rick had one of his experts take a look at it, that price tag jumped considerably, with a new estimate given of between $50 and $100K. And so Rick and the man struck a deal at $80,000. 200 pounds of silver. After being told by his father to invest, one gentleman decided to purchase over 200 pounds of silver. By the time he walked into Rick's shop, 12 years had passed, and the price of silver had skyrocketed. The second largest purchase in Pawn Star's history was a lot easier for the shop to verify the value of.
Silver and gold is a hedge against hyperinflation.
When that customer rolled in with a dolly loaded down with 3,000 ounces of silver in bars and coinage, the Harrisons knew they had a deal in their hands. With a set profit margin, Rick knew he could sell it immediately. So after a few checks to ensure the silver was pure, which even included some drilling, he was more than happy to snap up the hoard for the princely sum of $111K.
All right, it's a deal, 111.
Maurice Sendak sketches. Well, it may surprise some Pawn Star fans to learn that the biggest deal in the show's long history was made for artwork. But it wasn't just any piece of artwork, mind you. In 2018, Rick Harrison ventured to the gallery at the Venetian Resort to check out a series of original sketches done by the one and only Maurice Sendak. Sendak drew them when he was developing the characters for his iconic children's book, Where the Wild Things Are.
Where the Wild Things Are. It was one of Maurice Sendak's earliest books, written and actually illustrated as well.
And the price? Oh, just $250,000. It's important to keep in mind that Maurice Sendak never sold any original artwork from the book. So you combine that with the fact that he passed away in 2012, and the sketches were valued at an all-time high.
I can't believe I'm doing this, but you got a deal.
Awesome.
Although, even though Rick bought these sketches back in 2018, there are still a majority of the pages for sale on the Gold and Silver Pawn website, and at $10,000 off. Wow, what a bargain. Deals that got away. Even with the considerable resources at hand for the team behind world-famous Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, sometimes they do have to let treasures walk. Given the type of historical artifacts the shop frequently peddles, Rick came across a holy grail when he met a collector named Brian. The seller had a 3-piece suit worn by Revolutionary War General, founding father and first U.S. President George Washington. But the seller offered it for $3 million.
Sell for less than $3 million.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of suit.
and Rick countered with an offer of 2.5. In the end, Rick and Brian had to go their separate ways, $500,000 away. The Beatles' original recording contract and a guitar owned by Jimi Hendrix also came and went. The Beatles' contract owner wanted $1 million for the piece of paper, which was far too rich for the Harrisons' blood. The Hendrix guitar was from 1963 and confirmed as the one played by Jimi. Rick's expert quoted its high-end value at $1 million. So when Rick offered the owner $500,000, the guy felt insulted, and Rick's second offer of $600,000 did not help, so the contract and the guitar had to walk out the door. Next up, an Ides of March coin from the time of Julius Caesar, which seemed like just a thing that would be fake to make a quick buck. But Rick's expert confirmed that it was a true coin from over 2,000 years ago.
This is the real deal.
Okay.
And went further to urging Rick to buy the coin, even at the seller's asking price of $140,000. But Rick Harrison is no dummy and does not want to give away money.
If you change your mind or have really bad luck while you're in town, come back and see me. I appreciate it.
So he let the seller walk away. Rick Harrison beautifully uses the store's considerable capital and clout, not to mention his seemingly endless well of experts, to grab a hold of history via large stacks of cash. Harrison's well-trained eye knows an opportunity to make money when he sees it, even if that means putting huge sums of money on the table, or letting Hendrix's guitar walk out the door. I mean, how many pawn shops do you know that will buy a guitar for 80 grand? What was your favorite item that they bought on Pawn Stars? Do you remember any of these high-rolling items? What was your favorite item brought into the pawn shop? Get in the comments and let us know. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a beat. And please come back often so we can always tell you what happened.